Welcome to the Editing Masterclass, where I walk you step by step through creating a wedding film. From the more routine parts to the creative process, this course will cover every step along the way. In the last episode, we colored and matched all of our footage to our favorite LUTs that we've ever come across, so that's why the footage already looks so crispy. In this episode, though, we clean up all of our audio because from this point forward, we're gonna be hearing it a lot, so we want it to sound good. And there are three main effects that I use in every single video. We're gonna go over all of them today. Okay, so during the ceremony, the heater was on full blast. So loud. And then the DJ's speakers were pointed at the officiant who was speaking, so we got some echo as well. I gotta be honest, this was probably the worst audio scenario that I had that entire year. So we need to reduce this noise. But the issue with noise reduction is the more you apply it, the more it kind of just starts to fall apart, sounds like a robot or like you're underwater, just weird things start happening. Inside Premiere, there are a couple free options that you can choose from. The first being DeNoise. You can find this in the audio track mixer window. Here's what it sounds like.
This occasion not only marks the beginning of their marriage commitment together, but it is a commemoration of the love nurtured and shared between these two. This occasion not only marks the beginning of their marriage commitment together, but it is a commemoration of the love nurtured and shared between these two. Marks the beginning of their marriage commitment together, but it is a commemoration of the love nurtured and shared between these two.
Within the past year, Adobe released its own audio enhance podcast AI kind of thing, and you can find this in the Essential Audio window. You can play around with this a lot, honestly, but here's what that sounds like for the most part.
This occasion not only marks the beginning of their marriage commitment together, but it is a commemoration of the love nurtured and shared between these two. This occasion not only marks the beginning of their marriage commitment together, but it is a commemoration of the love nurtured and shared between these two.
Now, neither of these are great, but they get the job done for sure. What I like to do is have another mic somewhere in the space, kind of in the center, or like where the couple's sitting, to kind of just capture the overall room tone, and just kind of blend that in with whatever this is, because it just takes the edge off a little bit, and it kind of puts the couple back in that scenario, because that's actually what it sounded like to them. Not perfectly sharp, crispy, perfect podcast voice, you know what I mean? You'll see a lot more of that kind of stuff with editing, Dolly, but I wanted to mention before we started that I decided to go for this situation with an audio plugin that's by the name of Waves. Again, I am not affiliated with them whatsoever, but they're just really stinking good. It's just a one knob, straightforward, easy to use. Check it out.
This occasion not only marks the beginning of their marriage commitment together, but it is a commemoration of the love nurtured and shared between these two. This occasion not only marks the beginning of their marriage commitment together, but it is a commemoration of the love nurtured and shared between these two.
Now here's all three side by side.
This occasion not only marks the beginning of their marriage commitment together, but it is a commemoration of the love nurtured and shared between these two. This occasion not only marks the beginning of their marriage commitment together, but it is a commemoration of the love nurtured and shared between these two. This occasion not only marks the beginning of their marriage commitment together, but it is a commemoration of the love nurtured and shared between these two.
This Waves plugin I got for $20. So from here on out, we use the audio track mixer, which gives us the 5 effects there and the kind of different volume knobs. This is great because it affects the entire track. So, you know, in the case of using that plugin where I had to drag it on every single clip, if I ever wanted to make a change to something, I can just change it there instead of having to delete it off of every clip and then repaste it. I'm no audio expert, by the way. I just know enough to get the job done when it comes to cleaning up wedding audio. So I guess my definition of what EQ is something that just sucks the bad parts out of any audio device, because they all have their own perks and quirks. We're just, you know, flattening it out a little bit to make it a little bit more flattering and, pun intended, flattering. No? And it just gives us more of like a solid base to build off of. We're only gonna edit the ceremony audio for the sake of time and redundancy, let's face it. So, not even talking yet, so we're gonna X that out. We're gonna kind of blend this in for a little bit, so it's a more natural fade between the two. If we just solo these. Which, good lord, you might even need to add clarity to the music.
It is remembering.
We're gonna go to
say I love you
EQ first.
At least once each day. A good marriage must be created.
We want
In
this
the
little
marriage, the little
slope.
things are the big things.
So you'll see here.
It is never being
We're gonna target
too
the
old
low.
to hold hands. It is remembering to say I love you at least.
You can kind of
once
have a
each day.
visual of like what
A
you're
good
looking for
marriage
in the
must be
waves here. We're
created.
probably gonna be targeting a lot of
In
this.
the marriage, the little things are the big things. It is never being too old
With-
to hold hands. It is remembering to say I love you at least once each day.
Just to make it sound a
A
little
good
more
marriage
natural, and then we're
must
gonna
be
pull this in
created.
to have
In the marriage,
naturally
the little
fall off
things
like this.
are the big things.
Right about
It
there.
is never being too old to hold hands. It is remembering to say I love you at least once each day.
So basically what we're doing right now is we're trying to find the weird parts in this audio that sound just not natural or don't sound good. This kind of comes with kind of any audio device, but also like room tone can come into play with like some echoing or just their voice specifically with the audio device specifically. When we grab these little dots, we're like raising the volume, trying to find the ugly parts. And when we hear one, then we drag that down and kind of like smoothing it out by like with the width. So that way we can kind of hide the uglier sounds in this audio.
In the marriage, the little things are the big things. It is never being too old to hold hands.
And sometimes you can kind of
It is
see
remembering to
what
say
we're
I love
targeting
you
here,
at
right?
least
So like
once each
I'm
day.
kind of trying
A
to
good marriage
curve it
must be
around
created.
that peak,
In the
kind of like
marriage,
almost
the little
mirroring it,
things are
if
the
I
big
can.
things. It is never being too old to hold hands. It is remembering to say I love you at least
Yeah.
once each day.
Just
A
like
good
that.
marriage must be created. In the marriage, the little things are the big things.
So we're gonna go to Dynamics, which is a great just bass plugin here. Now I know we have a lot going on here. Don't worry, we're only gonna focus on the hard limiter and the compressor. Hard limiter I just set to -3 because I don't really want any of these audio tracks to go above that. And hard limiter is exactly what it sounds like. It hard limits the audio from ever going above the limit you set it at. So it's kind of like a cheat code. You'll never clip. And I'm gonna set that to -6, which is just a good spot. It's just a good spot. You don't want it ever peaking. And when you're blending multiple different audio layers together like this, you don't really want to risk the -3. We kind of want it to be between -6 and -3. We don't want it to go past that. And the compressor does exactly what it sounds like it does. It takes the loudest parts of the volume and the quietest parts of the volume and compresses it down. So, you know, the quiets are a little bit louder and the louder is a little bit quieter and gives you a more consistent volume throughout. With the threshold,
Created.
we're looking for
In the
where
marriage, the little
this
things
kind of
are the
falls
big
off, like
things.
where it typically stays
It is never
around.
being too old to hold hands.
So I'm saying like 24,
It is remembering
27.
to say I love you at least
I'm gonna say
once
-27.
A good marriage must be created. In the marriage, the little things are the big things. It is never being too old to hold hands.
I set these knobs mostly to flat just because it's just vocals, not doing anything too crazy, and it's just a stock effects. So you're not really getting much out of these,
The big things.
but now we can crank it up with makeup.
It is never being too old to hold hands. It is remembering to say I love you at least once each day.
And now you can see the compressor starting to kick in a little bit here. So if I really
It is
crank
never
it,
being too
the
old to
limiter is
hold
gonna go
hands.
crazy. So
In
going
the
up to
marriage, the
-16
little
is kind of
things
crazy.
are the big things.
We do have presets here, but I
It is never
never
being
really
too
use
old
them.
to hold hands.
I will say this is a little rough.
A good marriage must be created. In the marriage, the little things are the big things. It is never being
I'm gonna see if remove constant noise instead of reduce is gonna make it better.
too old to hold hands. It is remembering to say I love you at least once each day.
There's things when it comes to editing, and this is all subjective, but like for me, you know, they picked this venue. It's very, very dark, very, very warm. I have to leave some of that in there. I can't just remove that because that was what they like. That is what their vision was. Obviously, I can't have it too warm. I had to set my white balance a type of way, but you know, sometimes you gotta leave that in there. And hell, you know, with the way that the DJ speaker was going and the furnace going, there's only so much that I can do where, yes, it's not good, but yes, this is how it happened. And you kind of got to draw that line somewhere. This isn't the short film. We'll do a little bit more stuff for the short film, but you know, just for editing the event's purposes, for giving them the full ceremony, for giving them the full speeches and things, this is kind of what it sounded like on the day of. What I did was, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this, I put a mic at the top of the altar to kind of, just in case this was, you know, these mics were messy, to kind of, so like they hear what it sounds like, because this mic, track 5, oops, gosh. No, that's 6. 5. Track 5 was kind of like in the back, like all the way in the back, like these tables. So it...
In the marriage...
And it's much closer to the furnace. So I'm gonna...
The little things are...
Not that one.
Are the big things. It is never being too old...
You get that little bit of the echo.
To hold hands.
You can still hear people walking around, maybe a cough here and there. Like, I personally... I'm putting you back in the situation. I'm putting you back in this place. So, bonus, multiband compressor. Another compressor? I don't know, man. Look, this, when you set it to broadcast, is like, it's just magic. I don't know what or why. Just use it. It sounds good. I'm sorry. The only other thing that I would really do is sometimes I'd add multiband compressor just to give it a little bit more of a punch with broadcast. And then set to -6 again.
Words of appreciation and demonstrating gratitude in thoughtful ways. It is having the capacity
See, but we're hitting between
to forgive
-6 and -3.
forget.
Good.
It is speaking words of appreciation and demonstrating gratitude in thoughtful ways.
Now, for the sake of time, at this point, I will cut from camera to camera, like if one is out of focus or is being adjusted, and then I'll fade my audio to, you know, from the music to the person speaking to the applause, things like that, because I always give my couples the ceremony, speeches, and first dances. So I just kind of take care of that at this point, and then I'm feeling real good because I have all of that to work with in the next episode. So yeah, we're just time-lapsing through it because we don't need to watch their entire day back together. So that's all for now. Congratulations, you have now completed all of the routine steps. Take a breather. In the next episode, we're finally going to start the fun and creative process, starting with finding a song. Without a doubt, the most pivotal step of the process, so I'll catch you then.